What up, what up, what up, what up? This is DJ Doc on the block. I'm here with another review. Actually, this is one of my first reviews that I'm putting out right now. Today we're going to discuss the Harbinger or Harbinger, whatever you guys say it. But Guitar Center's house brand Harbinger. We have the V-A-R-I. Once again, that's V-A-R-I. Also, it's got a regular subwoofer, pole shaft, the tap system. This one's by Onstage. You guys can have one. You don't necessarily have to have one from Onstage or that would be from Guitar Center, but you are going to need one to stack it on top. At least I like to put mine on pole. So let's get into it. Let's start with the subwoofer. These actually weigh 100 pounds. These are not light at all. So back in the day, I pick it up myself, I do whatever, but now life has hit me and I have a wife and she's like, no way. So I'm gonna call one of my assistants, my son, to help me take this out. As you take it out, notice beautiful finish. It's nice and smooth. This is actually this is not plastic. I believe it looks like it's a press wood. That kind of makes sense why it would be so heavy. Press wood is extremely heavy. I mean, when you put it in a box like this, it definitely adds to the weight, but the sound will be so much better. This right here, 2400 watts. This thing kicks out some serious power. So for these they start at $600. Now, here's the misconception. A lot of people say, well, there's no way in the world you can get that much wattage out of a box that's only $600, dollars at Guitar Center. There's some rhetoric out there saying there must be some lies, things like that. We'll find out today. So of course, you got your standard power right here. I'll show you where to plug that up later on. The cool thing is we have these casters. So this nice and smooth. You kind of get that to spin pretty good. You have a lock on it, which is great. That's a beauty because you don't want to have to slide these around on stage. You don't want to scratch up this beautiful finish you have right here on the bottom. Take it, roll it up, get it where you want, and you're good to go. So actually, what we do here, the casters, put it down on here, and they go right here. So let's get into it. Let you know throughout this video, my accent might kind of jump around. That's because while I was born in the States, I'm by way of Jamaica. So another thing, fun fact about Jamaicans and Brits, we like to build our boxes. So this will be the one that my dad and my uncles will be very proud of because we pretty much would get shamed if we actually bought a speaker from the store and actually kept the box. This actually seems to be pretty built quite well. Just right. So let me tell you about the Harbinger V-A-R-I V2318S. These subwoofers, I actually have two of these subwoofers. These are 2400 watts plus DSP. Now let me load the one thing, of course, the 2400 watts. I love that. That's great. We're gonna push out some serious power. DSP is beautiful. Let me tell you why I love it and I hate it. I love it because it's DSP. I hate it because it's DSP. What is DSP? Digital Signal Processing. What does that do? If you own like some AirPods, if you have some headphones, these right here, anything that's digital, it pretty much does the math itself quite quickly. And what it does is that it can kind of determine distance, sound, and create noise cancellation. It gives you a cleaner sound. It's almost like a studio kind of setup. Now, I love it for that, of course. I hate it because guess what? This is my first pair that has that. And what's gonna happen is when I go to my older ones, I'm gonna see the difference. But either way, great deal. It's a great feature. Next thing, of course, you have the roller casters on the bottom that helps out because, like I said, this is 100 pounds. This is really crazy. Of course, I can tilt it here. That's the best you can get out of me. Not happening. And on stage, I do not want to scratch up this finish. It is beautiful. You know, once again, it's a gift from my wife. Thank God for that. Then, of course, you have the optimal signal pairing. You have stereo signal management. The signal here, which you'll see. Actually, we'll do that after. We'll do that right after. So, next, we get over to, we're gonna be, cut that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next, we get over to the Harbinger VARI V4115. Initially, my first set of Harbingers were, what do you call it, M150s, I think. Anyway, they were 150 watt. There were two passive speakers. They were 10-inch speakers. They also were pressed wood. Not as heavy as these, but they had a little bit of weight to them. But the fact that they were passive, that really helped out. So they put out a little bit of power, but we're into the big boy style now. So I did move on to some Ions. I had some Altos, Mackie. These are like considered low grade stuff. They put a lot of power. They were pretty good. We did parties, outdoor parties, indoor. We did concerts. They did the deal. I kept coming back to Guitar Center because obviously you go there for, you know, soundboards, cables, microphones, things like that. And I kept seeing the Harbinger. And this is the conclusion I came to. I still have my Harbingers till today, the 150 watt ones with the separate amp, and they play pretty good. And I'm an Android user. I know there's a lot of hate out there. I'm also a Windows guy. I do have an iPhone. I do have Mac products. I still like Windows. I still like Android. And just like Windows and Android, there's a lot of talk back and forth. And it's like, okay, if Harbinger was such a garbage tool, garbage, piece of equipment, why are they still around? Why are they still growing? And when I went back to finally try out the V2215s, I found out they had a V2315. When I went for that, I came across these bad boys. These changed the whole game. So we're gonna get into this now. Big boy stuff. Once again, 2,500 watts. What does that mean? This thing can blow your crowd out. You can easily do a session with 300 to 500 folks, no problems whatsoever. Also the power, it pushes way across the room. So this right here, I would put this on me personally, low grade professional level. Like I said, when I first started out, for you guys that are coming out and people are saying, hey, you need to do like QSC, you need to have Crown amps, EVs, JBLs, that's kind of great. But if you're trying to get into this business and it's an expensive hobby. So if you want to get into this business, you want to start doing events, you want to start small, or if you know you kind of feel like, hey, I'm ready to move up, I would definitely highly recommend these. So big thing here, this guy right here is 57. Big boy stuff. Once again, 2,500 watts. What does that mean? This thing can blow your crowd out. You can easily do a session with 300 to 500 folks, no problem whatsoever. Also, the power, it pushes way across the room. Biggity 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 boo. Biggity 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 boo. Boo 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 boo. Wah 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 wah. Blah blah. So, once again, like I said, I would sneak and I would do it myself, but my wife would get me, so I have to go call my son in again and get help. Said, I had to get a set. Honestly, you can use one of these guys and you can really take care of a room, 300 to 500 folks. You can. Me personally, I don't like to push my speakers. I'm also into aesthetics. I love things to be balanced. It's a cleaner look. It looks great. Black on black. It's beautiful. You're pushing out 2,500 on your top end. You're pushing out 2,400 on your bottom end. This is beautiful. Now, I'm going to show you something over here. We're going to plug this up in a bit. So, the beauty about these things, I cannot stress enough. Try to get a bunch of these, order some online, because you don't, the worst, I had an event where I had a top and I had a bottom, but I forgot my power cables altogether. So I had to take I only had two. Luckily, they were 15s. They were able to push out enough in the room. I had my soundboard, and I used the two tops. I stacked them on there. They looked as though they were both playing because I didn't need that much power. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to be stuck and you don't have any power, because if these guys are out, all the weight is on these bad boys, and that's how you guys blow your speakers out. So these here, they're universal power cables. You take them, plug them up. So these here, they're universal power cables. You take them, plug them up, bam, right there. I have another one. Gonna take this. Gonna plug it up. It's only two places you can go. Only two places. Bam. Right there. Okay? Make sure I like all my levels to be down. You never want to plug anything up with it high or whatever. Myself personally, I turn everything down. I make sure that there's no chance of anything getting messed up. Now you might say, this here is on stage subwoofer shaft attached system, aka Dookie on the stick, because this is crap. So you might say, hey, why'd you stack them and not use them? Now some people like to stack it, they like how it looks. This is pretty clean. I myself, I don't like to stack them, I try not to. I just don't feel comfortable with it. I think it looks better on a pole. Now for today, I'm not gonna mount these because this is not that good for these. It was kind of loose, so honestly I really can't. I'm not gonna say it's a bad pole, I just don't feel comfortable with the weight, with this being so heavy. I don't feel comfortable with it hanging on here. It fits nice and snug inside here, but when it comes to this, it's kind of loose. Maybe you might need like a little fill-in adapter or something to kind of close it up. I personally would not. As for right now, I'm just not going to use it. So right now, it'll be stacked. I always make sure as well. Not only do I make sure my levels are down, I also make sure that they're off before I put it in. Now while with these ports can handle both XLR and quarter inch. I'm not going to go into that right now. There's plenty of other videos for breaking down the difference between the XLR and the quarter inch. Quarter inch, if someone doesn't understand what a quarter inch is, I refer to it as like a thick or a large headphone jack. Then they say, oh yeah, I see one of those. Anyway, what I like to do is go first from my board directly into the sub. So I'm going to go down to output 1. Okay, well sorry, input 1. Pop that in. And then from input 1, it's going to go over to my soundboard. Right, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to hook it up. This is an XLR cable. So we don't need this to be extremely long because this right here is actually going to just be a connector from the sub to the top. So what we'll do right here is I'm going to start from the bottom first. I normally go out of my board directly into my top. Another thing when you get into this business is you want to get as much adapters as possible. I wouldn't say to start out right away, just kind of look and see what you need. So this right here is an RCA to XLR connector. Why? Because right now I'm not pulling out my flight case. They're packed up, they're heavy. I'm just doing an example right here. This is a USB turntable. This is a Gemini Slate 4. What I do like about it is, I don't know if you can see over here, you have 4 channels. That's beautiful. You normally don't see that on smaller boards such as this. We'll get into that later on. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to connect my RCA adapters to boards to get a shot right here. I have right here a male-to-male coupler, XLR coupler, to attach to my female-to-male XLR, dual XLR cable. I'll take my longer cord, and very important to roll them properly. This is kind of sloppy somewhat, but I'll get into another video with that. In, out, reverse, direct, however you call it. Either way, it helps the cable to last longer. As you can see, it was quite loud. I barely had it up. What I love about this, you get the LED, these right here, those come in major handy because whenever you're off in a distance, especially using the app, you want to make sure that you can see if the lights are on. So let's say for instance, you notice these are on, you can see them off in a distance. Over here, you can tell they're not. So that's what I do like about them. Of course, I live in a regular house. I'm not in a mansion yet. So if they give any out, let me know. I'll gladly take it. But right now I'm in a regular house, residential community, so I'm not going to hook up both of these because these are. Whenever I'm testing my speakers, I normally like to find something that has as many instruments in it as possible. So, but also I'm going to kind of go with some classics here. As you can see, it was quite loud. I barely had it up. I had this here at I believe about 9 o'clock. This here is at 9 o'clock. Let me see. What I have it at. Okay, yeah. So I pushed this up to 12 o'clock, which I like to have everything. I pushed this barely. This is barely at 10 o'clock. Okay, hadn't even touched it yet. As you can see, I didn't do any kind of settings on there. It's booming. On my board, I have my board at Unity right now. So everything's set, 12 o'clock on my board at Unity. Pretty loud, 1. We'll go with another song. I had this here at I believe about 9 o'clock. This here is at 9 o'clock. Let me see. What I have it at. Okay, yeah. So I pushed this up to 12 o'clock, which I like to have everything. I pushed this barely. This is barely at 10 o'clock. Okay, hadn't even touched it yet. As you can see, I didn't do any kind of settings on there. It's booming. On my board, I have my board at Unity right now. So everything's set, 12 o'clock on my board at Unity. Pretty loud, 1. We'll go with another song. These are XLR cables. Now while with these ports can handle both XLR and 1/4 inch. I'm not going to go into that right now. There's plenty of other videos for breaking down the difference between the XLR and the 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch, if someone doesn't understand what a 1/4 inch is, I refer to it as like a thick or a large headphone jack. Then they say, oh yeah, I see one of those. Anyway, so
there you have it. You have over here V4115, V2318.
DJ Doc on the Block. Like, share, subscribe. You know me, find me on YouTube. Hashtag DJDOB. Real easy. DJ Doc on the Block. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Find me out there. One love. God bless. Enjoy.